Pokemon eggs, a mystery that baffles even those who breed Pokemon. Many trainers have learned how to manipulate what Pokemon come from eggs. But what exactly is a Pokemon egg? I have an answer, and it's all thanks to what came first, the egg before the Pokemon. Hello everyone, I am Giraton, and today I will be talking about Pokemon eggs. Pokemon eggs have commonly been discarded by fans of the series as being the same as real-life eggs, a simple embryo with a hard shell that allows a Pokemon to slowly develop inside. However, countless questions have been raised within the games themselves that suggest that this is not the case. How is it that the breeders, despite their countless eggs trainers breed to get that one perfect Pokemon, or that one shiny hatch, still not know where the eggs come from? How did the egg come before Arceus in the center of the universe? Why can Arceus create an egg with a Pokemon despite never having a significant other or even being that of the same species as the Pokemon that it created? My theory is that eggs are simply born Pokemon gathering energy. In order to understand this theory, however, another theory that is not of my own must be posed. The theory is that Pokemon are but creatures who can manipulate and change energy into various forms. The YouTuber Ovi, the creator of this theory, has a nice video explaining all of which you can watch here. But the short of it is that Pokemon are made of energy, and explains how they can be stored in Pokeballs, perform their various attacks, and even be stored in computers. This has been a theory widely accepted as of Aurus due to the idea of infinite energy appearing in the games, as well as many others going further into the theory, including bringing up to the point where Pokeballs in the anime capture and return their Pokemon in red light while releasing them in blue light, referencing the band of lights in the visual spectrum. But what does that mean for eggs though? Well, how was the first Pokemon created? In a large, swirling vortex of energy. In Generation 4, we are given a library that contains many legends mostly surrounding the Universe Quad, that of Arceus, Dialga, Palkia, and Giratina. Within one of these stories, we are given the origins of Arceus.
In the beginning, there was only a churning turmoil of chaos. At the heart of chaos, where all things became one, appeared an egg. Having tumbled from the vortex, the egg gave rise to the original one.
The original one is quite obviously referencing Arceus, the vortex of chaos being an event similar to that the Big Bang Theory, where something that causes a large release of energy caused the universe to form. The vortex, through its various activity, produced an egg. This egg formed into Arceus. This further not only provides extra evidence to Pokemon being made of energy that could turn into matter, but also shows that eggs are the first state of a Pokemon goes through when enough energy is collected. Another evidential quote is that of an NPC in Cormoline City in Pokemon X and Y.
Strictly speaking, they are not eggs. They're more like a Pokemon cradle.
This quote means that eggs act more like a baby's cradle rather than an actual egg that develops an animal. The Pokemon themselves have formed, but they have not gathered enough energy and grown enough to act on their own. The eggshells protect the Pokemon as it collects energy from either its parent or trainer by staying close to them and receiving warmth from the body, or whatever the trainer has stored the egg in. Quite noticeably, normally near a Pokemon that gives off heat with abilities such as Magma Armor and Flame Body. In Pokemon Snap, the legendary bird trio are all hatched from eggs when they are given energy. Zapdos from a Pikachu's electrical shock, Moltres from falling into lava, instantly heating it up, and Articuno... Well, honestly it's hard to explain this one, this is triggered by getting Jinx to dance. My best guess is... kinetic energy? Overall though, this explains why an egg will not hatch if left alone. It requires energy in order to be powerful enough to survive day-to-day life. But how is an egg created if it is not like a biological egg? It is still created through normal means? Well, yes and no. While you still require a mother and father in Pokemon in order to create an egg, they don't require getting it on to create an egg. For the most part, Pokemon don't even have any form of reproductive organs present. Now this causes some problems on the whole gender issue, but the important thing is that there must be two parents, but they do not use the classic means of making a baby. Instead, a Pokemon is created when two Pokemon share each other's energy and fuse together in order to create an offspring. How they do this could be anyone's guess, though playing together seems to be part of it. Much like the vortex that created Arceus. This could explain why Pokemon of different species but the same egg group can breed, why Gentlest Pokemon can be bred with Ditto, and why Ditto can breed with any other Pokemon, as the energy must be of a similar type as the other in order for the energy to be compatible with the other side's energy, and Ditto can simply just copy the other Pokemon's energy. The female energy of this process seems to be the dominant form of energy when deciding how the Pokemon will form, hence why it is the female Pokemon that decides what species of Pokemon the egg will hatch into. However, there is still one more point that needs to be addressed, and the whole reason I even looked into this theory. In the Shinto Ruins event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Arceus performs a ritual in which players first see the creation of an egg in person, and for some reason it involves Google Images. Yeah, the whole event is overall confusing, but it leaves us with a level 1 version of Dialga, Palkia, or Giratina. The ritual seems to not only be a recreation of Dialga, Palkia's, and Giratina's birth, but also a recreation of how any egg is formed, in a vortex of chaos, just as it's stated in The Legend of Arceus. Cynthia even points this out to the player by stating, "Did we just witness the very moment an egg was brought into this world?" Even official Pokemon art for the event shows that the egg is surrounded by what seems to be energy. It seems that Arceus can create any Pokemon it can imagine through using vast amounts of energy, probably of its own, and forming it into a Pokemon much like itself was created. So effectively, Arceus can make children do all the dirty work of managing the universe, then got bored and made some more of them to fill up this empty universe of his. The trick with the egg given to us by Arceus in this event, though, is that the egg instantly hatches. This means the Pokemon within it did not need to stay in there for more than a second, because it had already gained enough energy to live for itself. It is probably safe to say that this is because Arceus gave it all the energy it needed when it was born, rather than have it borrow energy from an outside source. So in summary, Pokemon eggs are not the simple eggs we know them to be in real life, but instead the initial form of a new Pokemon simply waiting to become strong enough for the world. Pokemon are born by either having a giant vortex of energy compress energy until it makes something, having Arceus do the same thing on a smaller scale, or have two Pokemon's romantic energies combined at an even smaller scale. We provide eggs with energy by either having them against something warm, shocking them with electricity, dumping them into lava, or simply dancing next to them. And overall, we now know that Arceus was one lazy bored god. Now to find out how humans work in all this.